right. Donald Trump's Nazi Gestapo is in the streets killing American citizens. Democratic leadership is feckless, impotent, and not rising to the moment. I still have hope that the Senate will put a full stop and a guardrail to this Nazi shit happening in American streets. But as a little break from this, because it's a lot to absorb, all of the inhumanity and depravity that we're seeing on our timelines, I think it's always fun to pick on Raphael Ted Cruz. Canadian-born Raphael Ted Cruz, Cuban descent. Sorry to our Canadian listeners. I know you guys hate America, and I know it's a stain on your country that Raphael was born there. But I know that you support us, the good Americans. So let's all browbeat Raphael together. So Raphael was caught on a hot mic at a donor dinner, and Axios reports the following. Pop this up. Trump was in a bad mood, Cruz tells the donors. I've been in conversations where he was very happy. This was not one of them. Cruz says he told Trump, Mr. President, if we get to November of 2026 and people's 401ks are down 30% and prices are up 10 to 20% at the supermarket, we're going to go into Election Day and face a bloodbath. You're going to lose the House. You're going to lose the Senate. You're going to spend the next 2 years being impeached every single week. Trump's response, according to Cruz, fuck you, Ted. So, here's what's interesting that everybody needs to realize. It's all this performative bullshit. Ted Cruz, who goes out in front of the electorate and acts like MAGA policies are working, that there's no inflation, that the stock market isn't on the precipice of really tanking, which the fundamentals below it show that they are. That right there is an admission to his donors that he knows how unpopular this shit is. But the duplicity and the performative nature of politics is really what got Trump elected, because he came out, called Ted a liar, called Marco Rubio little, low energy Jeff. He bashed the establishment, which shows you all of these politicians, and Democrats are included in this, have two faces. This is the face that I'm going to say when I'm on Fox or CNN or MSNBC. And this is the face I say when I don't think cameras are rolling. Both sides do this shit.
Okay, so here is what I always think in the back of my head. We know, based on our conversations with different people we've interviewed, so many of these Republicans that are rah-rahing Trump behind the scenes think he's a nut, know his policies are crazy. Ted Cruz, perfect example. He was slinging Trump shit last week on Fox News. So at what point, because they know this is the reality, Trump is so underwater, it is going to be a blue tsunami. At what point do they break with him and set themselves apart from their constituents? You don't think they ever will?
Never.
Even for self-preservation?
No, never. These people, you're talking about Republicans?
Yes.
Voting against Trump?
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping the Senate will, because they know how unpopular this is with the American people, ICE, and what they're doing. But at some point, they're going to have to face the fact they're going to lose, or they have to vote against Trump. I mean, today,
you think the Republicans are going to vote against Trump?
Well, I'm hopeful in this funding bill. Is that Pollyanna?
I think you might have Murkowski, but like, you think Lion Ted? You think this piece of shit's going to vote against Trump? No.
What does that say
this
about
Trump
Ted?
called his wife ugly?
Yeah, said his dad shot JFK.
Came out and said, "God bless Donald Trump." That is I love you, Pumps, but come on. I mean, these people are never going to stand up on principle. They're never going to stand up for anything. This is the conservative party, that there's the decorum of the office and the Constitution and all of this shit. And they worship Donald Trump. There's going to be zero moral clarity with these people. Zero. I mean, I honestly believe that right now, a video of him making out with a child sorry, let me correct that, listener. Sexually assaulting a child, and the Epstein files could come out. And the whole cult would somehow have some conspiracy theory around it and would provide a permission structure. Donald Trump tried to overturn the election and send a mob, and they tried to kill Mike Pence. And we think Ted Cruz and a couple other people are going to have some moral clarity all of a sudden and vote against Donald Trump now. And what I would say is like, oh, now?
No, I
Now
don't think
you're
they'll have
gonna do
moral
something?
clarity, but the self-preservation mode, the thought of losing their seat, that would be the only thing in my mind
The
that would
problem
turn.
is in Texas, it's so red. He's had Beto O'Rourke's ran against him. Colin Allred's ran against him. There is a personality cult of support behind this. And I think they have to make a calculus. And in these super red states, voting against Trump is far more dangerous than just going along with it. So the self-preservation is to continue to go along with the cult. In my opinion, I don't see anywhere. I wish that what you were saying was right, but I think that is like the Republican Party of 12 years ago. And that's where I think, Pumps, a lot of the ruling class and a lot of people have a hard time grasping how foobar this situation is.
Right.
But Ted Cruz and other senators like that are absolutely not going to come to our rescue. Now, should we put focus on Chuck Schumer and Cory Booker? Fuck yes, we should, because they talk the talk, and we need to force them to walk the walk. Moving along, Ted Cruz gets caught on Twitter being a dipshit as normal. Pop this up. Ron Filipkowski tweets, dumbass Ted Cruz falls for another fake deceptive post from a random account again. And the Kentucky Freedom Coalition says the liberal media went wild when Ted Cruz wasn't in Texas for the major freeze a few years back. Well, Kentucky is in a declared emergency, and at Andy Beshear, Kentucky is touring Europe. The media won't say a word, though. And Ted Cruz retweets it with this emoji with the finger on the chin, like, because he's such a dipshit. Mm-hmm. And then Andy Beshear goes and retweets Ted and says, sorry for missing this earlier at Ted Cruz. Been busy leading my state's emergency response all day from Kentucky. So some fake account got a picture of Andy when he was actually in Europe, but probably like last year, 2 years ago, who knows? Because during the storm, he was actually in Kentucky. And so, Pumps, moving along to Republicans. And let me just show you where their support is right now. There was a pro-life rally this weekend while Trump's Nazi ICE Gestapo was executing, pepper spraying, terrorizing peaceful protesters in Minneapolis. They had a pro-life rally. And here's little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson at the rally behind a bulletproof glass. Okay. All right. Play the clip.
And as Vice President said here, Republicans are working hard to deliver on the mandate that you gave us in the last election to make it easier than ever before to raise a family in this great country of ours. And because we know that support for American families doesn't end at birth, our policies reflect this.
All right. Now, Kylie, put up the tweet that accompanied this. Melanie Duraggio says, no universal health care, no paid family leave, no universal child care, no living wage as a minimum wage, no affordable housing, no tuition-free public college, rolled back labor laws, gutted food assistance, deregulated food safety. Republicans hate American families, and this is the way forward. Hakeem and others, go out and call little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson for being the closet case. Oh, I am so sorry. Call him out for being the absolute abject Christian hypocrite that he is, that weaponizes his faith in front of the worst of Americans. The people in that audience are the worst that America has to offer. Those are the people that see no problem with Renee Good getting executed. Those are the pro-life people that see no problem with Alex getting executed. Zero situation with ICE, pepper spraying, separating kids. These are the people that demonize poor kids, demonize people that are fighting to get a livable wage. Demonize people with cancer, for fuck's sake, that have worked a full-time job. And then they say, well, maybe you should have gotten a better job with better insurance. Moses Mike Grinder Johnson is the most worthless, worst American on the planet. The MAGA Christians are the biggest pro-death cult this country has ever seen. All of their policies lead to death. All of the followers at the mega churches that work so long, so many hours on their personal relationship with their Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, become worse human beings because their preachers, their number one goal is to grift and build more churches to recruit more dipshits. And Kylie sent me a video of Erica Kirk at her Make Heaven Crowded Kool-Aid party, a la Jim Jones style, where she said, don't allow curiosity to penetrate your faith. Think about what a cult like. Kylie, can you find that? Think about thanks, Kylie. Think about that, Pumps. Do not, like, curiosity can harm your faith.
Well, here's the deal. I was raised like that, but it was said more eloquently. But I mean, that's what they say. You can't think critically because you have to have faith. You can't ask questions because then you don't have faith. So they've got it into this catch-22 that you feel like you're a sinner if you question. But I mean, it's just, don't let curiosity disrupt your faith. I mean, come on.
Kylie will find it. And then she goes on to say, like, don't ask questions.
And that's the teaching. That's how they teach it. I was in it. You know, that's why when we were at the dinosaur museum and you're like, you know, the earth is more than 2,000 years old or 5,000 or whatever you said.
Let me give some context to our years ago, Pumps was a die-in-the-wool George W. Bush Republican, made fun of me for, like voting for John Kerry. And she was uber religious. I was a super Democrat atheist. Evangelical. And our kids were best friends and we had chemistry, but she was kind of like the least compatible on paper friend that I could have. And likewise, I was the least compatible. But we hung out. There was something magnetism that drew us together. So we go to the dinosaur museum with our little kids. And I was always like so fascinated because Pumps is an attorney and she's so smart and she could be smart. And then critical thinking would just completely suspend regarding like the age of the earth. So we're at the dinosaur museum. I was like, this dinosaur bones are 300 million years old. And I'm like, hey, Pumps, you ever do the math on that with the Bible only saying the earth is 6,000 years old? And she was like, well, maybe it took more time for the earth to go around the sun. I'm like, no, it's always taken the 24 hours. That's what sustains life.
But so, I mean, that's where I was, and it's things like that you have to peel it away. But had I never had somebody that challenged the question, and you weren't rude or anything, it was just like, hey, how does this go?
It was kind of tongue in cheek.
It just fell apart.
Yeah. And I would always be pretty tongue in cheek about like, hey, Pumps. What do you think about this?
But when you say critical thinking gets suspended, and there are certain things that you have cognitive dissonance about that you don't even realize because that's how you're indoctrinated, I'm living proof that is absolutely the case.
All right, Kylie, do you have our Erica Kirk?
Just throw that out there, but I say that because curiosity can totally derail us as Christians, completely, and it doesn't allow the Lord to use your life in a way that glorifies Him. And so just keep that in mind when you're reading things and you're internalizing things. And if you try to chase down every single ridiculous accusation about yourself, you'll get nothing done. Charlie knew that. If Charlie spent his time responding to everything.
Pumps.
Okay, so here's the thing about that. That is what you're taught. If you question, if you are curious, that you will be out of God's favor. And so when she says, God won't use you like he could, indirectly to me, it's kind of a threat. If you question, you're not going to get all the blessings that you want. Your personal relationship with Jesus and God is going to be different. So that was a very manipulative evangelical preacher style dig, because somebody's going to hold on to that. And the next time they have a question, it'll be like, no, that'll harm me with God. I can't do that.
Right. I mean, it's so cult. It's so manipulative. And Kylie found that. And when she sent it to me, I thought, oh my God. And a couple of notes of this, of just the moral rot within Turning Point, within evangelical Christians, within Erica Kirk. Not only is she weaponizing her gender there, she's weaponizing her grief. Do you notice it's a little bit, and she says something so outrageous, and then she says, Charlie knew this. Mm-hmm. And it's so incredibly manipulative. And so many people, after Charlie Kirk died, there's always this like lemming effect online, would post, oh, Charlie Kirk, oh, all of this stuff on Instagram. And they really, like, if you dig into what Turning Point is a death cult. The two people that founded it, Charlie Kirk, died of a violent gunshot wound. And they spoke for, if people die, that's a risk that we have to take. Yeah. And then they went bananas over COVID. And the benefactor, the main financial investor, I can't remember the guy's name. He was much older than Charlie Kirk. He died of COVID. And so the evangelical Christianity is a death cult. And now they have a government and Russell Vogt, who is implementing all of these death style policies via Project 2025. So like they're favoring what the Environmental Protection Agency is supposed to protect us, protect the environment. Now it is completely deregulating anything, chemicals, anything in the environment, clean water. So you're going to start seeing cancer clusters. You're going to see the population get sicker, more deaths. And it is super, super, super important that we call MAGA what it is. It's not just a personality cult. It is a death cult. All of their policies lead to death. Charlie Kirk and the owner, the main benefactor of Turning Point, prime example right here. And here's what bothers me about the whole thing. Like many of you, I fantasize all the time about like massive strokes, blood clots, heart attacks, right? I'm just going to say that. I'm not going to connect that to whatever it's supposed to be connected to, but I'm sure that you all can connect it. And I'm like, oh God, would be so great. And then I see a video like this and I realize that there is a cancer that is incubating far worse than what Pudding Boy has delivered. Play the clip.
A particular piece of information has haunted me. That one of the telltale signs of an ancient brothel in the pagan world was that you'd always find a large number of baby skeletons nearby. A lot of baby skeletons. And those bones predominantly belong to boys. Because unlike little girls, those boys would be of no use to the future adults who are running those brothels. Now, this is shocking to us.
What?
Because we grew up in a Christian culture and were formed by religious values. Even those of us who aren't particularly faithful, it's a shocking thing to hear. But we have to remember that in the ancient pagan world, discarding children was routine.
Okay, so he's trying to link this at this March for Life rally. But here's the thing that everybody has to understand about Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, J.D. Vance, Paula White, all of these people, it's performative Christianity for them to either attain power, attain wealth, or both. That's what it is. Your mega church pastor out there in suburban America, it's not about religion. It's not about spirituality. It's not about making his flock better, more compassionate, more empathetic. It's about making him richer. These people are snake oil salesmen. These people do not give a shit about empathy, compassion, meeting the marginalized, meeting the sick, standing up against the egregious accumulation of wealth concentrated in the 0.01%. You never hear a word about that. That's what Jesus spoke about. But Erica Kirk's over there like, hey, don't question. Charlie wouldn't. And then here's what, I was just, Charlie wouldn't do it. Okay. And so here we have, I showed you Moses Mike. I showed you Erica Kirk, Raphael Ted Cruz. All of these people will not shut the F up about how religious they are. All right. Erica Kirk called ICE protesters demonic. There are real Christians out there that have a sense of spirituality. And I'm not religious at all. I have no interest in it. But there are people who really take the central character of the Bible, Jesus Christ's message of radical empathy, to heart. And so here are clergy protesting the ICE rallies, and they all end up getting arrested. Prim Thacker tweets, imagine the times while J.D. Vance is at the March for Life seeking to force a restrictive form of religion down people's throats. Members of the clergy are being arrested while praying for all the kids and workers who Vance and Trump are abducting. And so these people continue to lie to you, Raphael, J.D. Vance, little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson, Kanks, because now all of their evil colluders own all the algorithms. Mm-hmm. And so they know if they just keep lying, they'll get that out, and they'll get that out. Where the truth of the matter is, the people who genuinely don't care that their mega church has a coffee shop and a pastor has a stylist in 25 locations around the world, they're people that say that's ridiculous. Let's fight for the marginalized. Let's fight for the most downtrodden among us and lift them up. And what does this regime do? Arrest them.
Mm-hmm. Well, this regime has come out against the Pope and all of the Catholic leaders, which I'm not a supporter of any of those things, but we all know the Pope is the leading figure of the Catholic Church. Whether I agree with him or not, he's coming out against ICE and immigration. All of the archdioceses or cardinals or whatever you call them, they're coming out against them. So, look in the mirror, people. Look in the mirror. Do you want to be part of a group that kills people, or do you want to lift up other people? I mean, it's just kind of really that simple. Are you in on murdering innocent people, or do you stand for something more? That's kind of, and apparently we know J.D. Vance and Kanks and all them don't.
All right, guys, that's all we have. Please like, subscribe, leave us a little comment about the Dinosaur Museum, and we'll be back later with more news.